right, hello. I am just checking in. So right now you are working through your week 3 materials, which are due tonight by 11:59 p.m. And then remember, tonight at midnight, week 4 also opens and is due by Saturday at midnight. So I just want to do a couple of quick updates, and then I'll run through some fun things in week 3 and then give you a preview of some of the things that are out there for you in week 4 when that opens tonight at midnight. So really fast, I just wanted to let you know that your first 2 weeks have been graded. So if you come out over here in your Blackboard shell and click on My Grades, that's going to take you out to a grade center. It's going to not show that I have anything graded, but it should show for you that all of your week 1 and week 2 materials have been graded. So you definitely want to go out there and make sure that those have grades associated with them. You will notice that next to each grade there is a little bubble. And if you click on that bubble, you can view any feedback that I've given you. So if for whatever reason you notice like, oh my gosh, in my week 2 discussion board, she only gave me 11 points, what happened? You could certainly click on that little bubble and it'll tell you exactly why you got the grade that you got. A lot of times that's associated with A, not doing the work, or B, maybe you submitted, especially in your discussion board, maybe you submitted your initial post, but you didn't go back and submit the minimum 3 replies to your peers in order to get credit for the total assignment. So the discussion board breakdown basically works like this. So your initial post is worth 11 points. So going in, answering the questions, making sure that you're answering the questions with the minimum sentence requirement and you're answering all of the questions gives you those 11 points. And then for every response to your peer, you get 3 points. And then you're required to do 3. So that means that those are worth a total of 9 points, which would then give you the full 20 points to complete that specific assignment. So discussion boards do have kind of that 2-part caveat. You definitely want to make sure you make your initial post and then you go in and respond to at least 3 of your peers. So go in here, take a look at your feedback. If for whatever reason you still have a little like exclamation point that says that it needs grading, some of you have that in association with your note-taking assignment. So in week 2, you were required to watch that PBS video that was all about corn. And then you were required to choose one of those note-taking methods and then upload your notes from that note-taking, from that video. Some of you, I could not grade your note-taking assignment because it was saved as like a .heic document. Sometimes they're saved as .pages, and I can't open those documents. So I use a Windows computer, and so sometimes people use Macs, and that does cause some problems when I'm trying to upload those assignments. So if for whatever reason it still shows that it needs grading, you should go out and check your student email. So I sent every single student who I couldn't open their assignment an email, and I sent that email to your student email account. So it is important, and we'll highlight this in week 5, but I definitely want to start talking about it now. You should be checking your student email basically on a regular basis. So I would say just as often as you would expect me to check my email and respond to you, you should be checking your email regularly as well. And I send those emails to your student email account because that is the most universal system that I can use. I don't have access to your personal email unless you email me from your personal account, which does get kind of messy. So your email address is just your first and last name at my.cwi.edu. So you should be logging into that email, checking that email on a regular basis. Some students will forward that to their personal email so they get all of their email in one place. That's totally fine. Just know that you should be checking your student email account. So really fast, let's just go in and take a quick look at what's out there for week 3. Again, this is due tonight, so you should have read chapters 3, 4, and 5, which is again about the same amount of pages that you've read in the past. So while it seems like, oh my gosh, 3 chapters, it's really only about 40 pages that you're reading. And then you do have your discussion board where you need to make that initial post and then make sure that you are responding to at least 3 of your peers. I have embedded some supplemental information here because Paulin does talk about the grain elevator and basically how corn makes it from the field to a storage facility, which is the grain elevator. And then from the grain elevator, it's moved forward for processing, which is why I do show you that video about high fructose corn syrup. Paulin talks a lot about that in that chapter, and I just want to make sure that you do have that visual. I'm a visual person. I like to see how things work. So I think it's helpful to just kind of look at that. The other thing that you are doing this week is you are doing a follow your meat assignment. So you will come out and just think about where you get your meat from. I have graded some of those assignments already, and I love this assignment because as a consumer, if I eat meat, I should know where that comes from, or at least go through the exercise of having a better understanding of where my meat comes from. So some of us are very, very connected with where our meat comes from. So I have a pig in my freezer that we just slaughtered in March. And so I know exactly where that hog was born, how it was raised, what it was fed, where I took it to slaughter it, picked it up from the slaughterhouse, and then brought it home and put it in my freezer. So very connected with that process, and really probably enjoy that meat more than if I was to go to the grocery store and just pick up some pork chops and bring them home. That's definitely a luxury. A lot of people don't have that connection or that ability to be able to do those kinds of things. So it is fun to take an opportunity to say, oh, I just bought some ground beef here at Winco. Do I have that ability to be able to track where it comes from? And so I would definitely take some time to see if you can track that. A lot of you will probably get frustrated because you'll be like, there's labels on here, but it doesn't tell me where the slaughtering facility is, or it doesn't tell me what ranch raised this beef. And that is really kind of the idea around the assignment. So I know it feels a little bit frustrating, but please, know that that is kind of intentional. If you aren't a meat eater, talk to me about why you're not a meat eater. And it probably has a little bit to do with the ethical treatment of animals, the decision to, because you can't be connected with where your meat comes from, maybe that drives your decision of being a vegetarian. The other thing that you'll be doing this week is your Let's Connect assignment. And this is all around, I call it managing priorities. I don't like to call it time management because I think inevitably, we know that there's enough time to get everything done that we need to get done. Really, what it comes down to is what takes the higher priority. So, in that moment, is the higher priority binge watching, oh gosh, what's a show you could binge watch? See how much TV I watch. Binge watching some TV show, or is the higher priority to read the chapters in your book and work on your classwork? So it definitely has to do with, like I said, I think managing priorities. I think for the bulk of us, there is enough time in the day. It really is how we manage those priorities. So within this assignment, there's a little TED Talk that you'll watch. I think she does a really good job of talking about this whole theory of managing priorities and time management. And then embedded within that are the questions that you'll answer for your worksheet. You'll also notice that that worksheet is available for you to just download and then work through if you'd like to do it that way. Once you're done with that, you will need to actually upload that. So you'll come over here to your little upload area, and then you will upload that time management worksheet. Browse your computer, attach the Word document, hit submit, make sure it's in a format that I can view so that I can grade it, and then you're ready to rock and roll. So remember, those things are due tonight, and then week 4 opens. Week 4 opens tonight at basically midnight for you to start working through, and that is due by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. So you do want to make sure that you get out there, take some time to preview the materials probably tomorrow so that you have enough time to get through it, and then you can start working through that before it's due on Sunday. So let's do a quick Saturday night. Let's take a quick look at what's out there. So it is chapter 6, 7, and 8. which are, again, about 30 pages. So you're going to see a similar theme here. You will have your discussion board again, where you're addressing the questions that are related to chapter 6, 7, and 8 within Pollen's book. And this is where we start to kind of wrap up a lot of the corn conversation. And so part of this discussion board, and I really try to think about food, culture, this idea of eating. You will prepare a meal. So, or think about what meal you would prepare. So Pollen at the end of every unit brings it all together and has a meal in the spirit of whatever he just discussed. So within this unit, we're talking about corn. So he takes the opportunity to have a meal with corn as the focus, or corn as the mindset. And so he talks about his adventure going to McDonald's and where he could identify corn in several different areas of that meal. So you're going to emulate that. You're going to do something very similar. So just know right now that you will want to think about that, because that is due by Saturday. And then you also have a quiz out here. So you've got an article from NPR. There's a lot of debate around sugar right now. And so I think this is a really helpful little article to review. A lot of people are removing fruit from their diet because of sugar. And it's certainly an interesting thing to think about. We also move into Unit 2, which is all about pastoral grasses, and really this idea around grass-fed, grass-finished animals versus grain-fed or corn-fed or corn-finished animals. And so you're introduced to Polyface Farms within the text. And so there's a little video out here that I really love that really highlights what's going on at Polyface Farms. So you'll take a quiz on that. And then your big Let's Connect assignment this week is to do part 1 of your signature assignment. So this is about the point we're about a quarter of the way through, which is crazy to think about because we're only inching in on the end of week 2. But remember, it's an 8-week class, so we're almost a quarter of the way through. And so because there are 2 signature assignments, I like to do the first one now. The first one's pretty basic. You are going to submit a personal bibliography. So I give you an example here. This very much reflects what you posted in your discussion board in week 1, really just introducing yourself. So here you'll see it's got my name, where I work, what I'm studying, a little bit about myself. I really want you to think about how you eat as a culture. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what my food culture is. Well, the fact of the matter is we all have a food culture, and that can look a whole lot of different ways. My food culture is definitely has to do with where my family comes from. So the German aspect, the Norwegian aspect, but my food culture is also growing my food. Growing my own food, harvesting my own food, preparing food that I've grown, raising chickens and eating their eggs. Like, that is my food culture. I am a person that wants to be very connected with where my food comes from. So don't think of it as culture in the sense of like, I'm from the German culture or the Hispanic culture. Like, think of it as, what is my culture? When I sit down to have a meal, what does the meal represent, and how does it represent me and what I enjoy putting in my body? Do I like eating at a table with my family and the social aspect of it and the pleasure of the table? Do I like to eat by myself because I don't like to talk to anybody? That's your food culture. It's not, again, I have family from Germany and I like sauerkraut and turkey. Certainly that is an aspect of it, but it doesn't have to be all of it. So you're going to write that bibliography, and I would write it in a Word document. So type it up in a Word document, save it. You want to make sure that you save it in this specific format. So the file name is going to say CWID 101 signature assignment bibliography, first last name. And once you've saved that, then you will come back here and attach it to this signature assignment 1 cookbook, You Are What You Eat, Let's Connect activity. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. Know that I have a personal life too. I try to have a life outside of classes. And so if you email me the night that something's due, depending on when you send that email, I may not be able to assist you in that. So always send an email saying, here's what I was going to submit. I couldn't get it attached. I was having problems, so that I can troubleshoot that when I go to do the grading. Other than that, have a fantastic week. I'll see you all next